Okay, so if you're new to my channel, here's the basic thesis. I am an adult improver, as they say in the chess world. I don't think I'm even that. I think I'm, as you can see here, an adult beginner. So the two formats that I play the most are Blitz and Rapid. That may not be true. I actually may play Bullet the most, and you can see how horrible I am here. But I have been getting into chess for the past year, like a lot of people did after Queen's Gambit in 2020. I actually was years later than that. It was in the past year, mostly to have an alternative habit that was healthier than browsing social media and being algorithmically fed stuff to make you get angry and all that nonsense. So I wanted something to do on my phone that I thought was mentally healthier. And then here we are with, as many people in the chess world know, a super addictive game. So I don't, and that is also very emotionally crazy and crazy emotion inducing, as many of you know. I have yet to throw my phone through a window or break a computer. So far so good. But in the process of trying to improve, so I'm not just playing chess to dink around. I'm not playing chess professionally. I have never played in an over-the-board tournament. I am not FIDE rated. I am exclusively playing on chess.com, but I want to improve. I don't want to just, dink around as much as this would show you otherwise. So let's ignore Bullet for now, which I've stopped playing for a while. Let's look at Rapid and Blitz. Okay, that may not actually be true. Maybe I'm still sometimes do this. So my goal in both of them is to see how high of a chess.com rating I can get to before I hardcore study openings. And that's the thesis of this channel, which, at least right now, which is that I realized after watching a ton of chess content, mostly on YouTube, also listening to chess podcasts from a variety of creators, that there is this pattern in how chess content is displayed, and what chess content gets fed to you algorithmically from YouTube when you start watching some, and what most of these creators are creating, which is a lot of openings and tactical stuff, right? And I'm realizing, and it's a ton of openings, and everyone's talking about openings. And what I realized after playing these games is something that probably all of you realized. The vast majority of games at these ELOs, 1,000 and under, are decided on multiple blunders by both players. And what I want to see is if I can get to 1,500 ELO, specifically in Rapid, and or get to at least 1,000 or more on Blitz before I hardcore study openings. Meaning I will play a very standard king's pawn opening, e4, e5, and go from there. Side note, I happened to watch a Vienna Gambit video from Gotham Chess, so I'm violating my own rules slightly, but it's still a king's pawn opening with a Vienna Gambit, just, to have some fun. But I'm not going to study any other openings. And everything else I will try to do from some simple principles that I think decide the vast majority of games at this ELO, and from what I can see on games that these other chess creators are putting out where they're climbing the rating ladder and playing lower ELO players, even 1,500, sometimes above that, it's almost guaranteed that your opponent will make at least one blunder. Decided by chess.com, it says blunder, and probably multiple mistakes in the game analysis. Meaning, if you can just play standard basic chess, right, then you just watch. Your focus should be on board vision, not fancy tactical attacks. You will get there. Don't worry about it if you're saying like, well, what a boring way to play. Trust me, it will not get boring. Especially when you're winning games, it's not boring. Standard chess strategy. Try to control the center. Look at your pieces. Look at your opponent's pieces. Okay? And we're going to do a simple thing that multiple chess creators have said you should do to watch out for blunders. And then I should have completed. and blunder less. You want to blunder less than your opponent. You are waiting for opponent mistakes or opportunities, and then you will strike. You're not initiating attacks. You're not trying to do any clever shit. You're not trying to do any of that. And so, let's get into it. So, I want to show you my Blitz rating and just the history so you can see kind of who we're talking about. I started somewhere around here, and I think chess.com naturally puts you, what was the all-time say? Yeah. It naturally puts you, I guess, at 900. I thought it starts you at 800 something. And then, understandably so, it came down here. If you want to know my history, I don't have any professional chess history. I played games in high school and college with my dad and my grandfather, like back in the day. None of us are professional by any means. We're all just total amateurs. Okay. And then, long gaps, only a few games here. And then I started to play. And so started to play more consistently, watching some chess content. And so we've started to make our way up. So if we go from all time to 1 year, that's almost the same. If we go to 90 days, you see a steady climb. Steady climb from 590 to 728. So let's get started with my most recent game here. It's a 5+5 Blitz game with G-Funk. I'm 728 at the start of this. He or she is 717. Okay, so we're going to review the details of the game here. So let's go. He's going standard E4, E5, right? I'm following my principle. And then he opens up, right, with knight to F3 that allows me to go Vienna. And then he does some Ruy Lopez stuff. And at this point, I'm like, remember your principle, Davish. You don't care about any of these openings. / I just can't help but do this. I don't even know whether Vienna Gambit here is proper. What does the engine say? It's aggressive and risky way to fight for the control. So I'm in a Ruy Lopez and I am doing a Vienna Gambit, which probably, according to chess people, makes like no sense. Oh, wow. Almost nobody does this. So at least I'm in a place where hardly anyone does anything. But that's fine. So he takes. I know one simple principle of this opening, which is just to push if they accept the gambit. Because the knight has nowhere to go. Right? Think about it. The knight's going to go in this perimeter, right? Except for these squares. So here and here, I can take here. I don't know if this is proper Ruy Lopez material. See, I'm not like embarrassed to say I don't even know these openings. That's the thesis of this channel. So here and here, my knight can take. And what is his bishop doing? It's not pinning my knight to the king. I haven't even moved the d-pawn. So what are you doing? I don't really understand what this bishop is doing. So this is what I'm saying. At 717 level, they're just like doing this crazy stuff, and it doesn't even really work. The whole point is to pin this. So like, who cares? So the knight can't move here. And the knight can't move here because my queen is protecting these squares. So the knight then has to retreat, which means he loses kind of development thing. So he takes this. Okay, great. But if I just take back, which I do, I still control these two squares. Not true. This is actually wide open for him. Does he take it? No. He goes back. This is what I'm saying. Like, I don't mean to be making fun of it. It sounds like I'm cocky at 728. It's so silly. But this is what I'm realizing is I spent so much time stressing. Okay, if I want to get good at chess, I got to learn all these openings. I got to master these openings. No, you don't. Because I was starting to look and analyze game after game, and there's multiple blunders in every game. And these are just my blunders. So we'll get to his, right? So it says this is an inaccuracy. It overlooks the fact that he could probably move a knight to a better place. Okay, so anyway. Oh, what are you doing here? What are you doing? Okay, so he moves his queen in. Fine. More inaccuracies, but I wanted to protect that pawn. This is where I started to make some stupid mistakes. All right, get out of here. What's going on here? Okay. So I protect that pawn here. Says that's a good move. He moves his queen. It's a good move. I protect again. Or actually, I take this, which was actually, by the way, silly. So three principles that everyone has said that I think you should live by here, that I'm doing in lieu of studying openings, which is look for, what is it? Checks, captures, threats. CCT. Checks, captures, threats. Simple chess. Trying to control the middle. I have a pawn up here. He has this pawn, which is easily going to get captured. My bishop can take this and protect his pawn. My pawn. And yet, what do? I don't see it. This is what I'm saying. Although the engine's still rating this as best, I don't care. The point is, I mean, what if I had done this? What would the engine say? Also best. So, as a human, I actually don't like this move. I don't like this move. Because there's just a hanging pawn. And then you don't take it. So what's the point of studying openings when there's a hanging pawn that you don't even take? Speaking to myself. It makes no sense. So anyway, I finally am think, oh God, there's just a pawn sitting there for the taking. So now this pawn is double protected. Great, because obviously what he's trying to do is create some kind of issue here and pin my pawn because my king's sitting behind it. So now I'm thinking opening principle. What is this? I guess he really wants to take this and then threaten, and then my queen is pinning, blah, 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 right? So I'm trying to get my bishop out of dodge so I can castle and then play this kind of like, unsexy, strategically sound chess. This is saying that this is a mistake. So be it. Okay? Then he blunders this pawn. And the reason they call this a miss, actually, instead of a blunder, is simply because if right now there's no real issue, right? He's thinking, I can take this, and then he can't do anything because the queen is now checking, and then, there's nothing I can do, and so it's sort of like a free bishop. The problem is this square is guarded by two things. So on his side, checks, captures, threats would say, just count the number of pieces attacking the square. This is what I'm saying. Super, super simple principles. Mistakes that I'm making based on those principles, and he's making them based on those principles, that change the game by wider margins than these little benefits that these GMs, IMs, and masters of some kind that are making YouTube chess content are saying you will get. These advantages you will get by playing the right opening. It's these tiny changes. If you watch these opening videos, other than trickster openings, standard opening videos, they'll do like a bunch of moves that you have to memorize as a beginner, right? I'm talking exclusively to beginners. You have to memorize a bunch of moves, and then they're like, and see? White is clearly better here. And you're like, is it? Like, we haven't won anything. But that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about at this like highly competitive level, 2000s plus, you'd be like, yeah, the pawn structure is better. But we're missing basic stuff. That's way more important and swings the game by way wider margins than pawn structure. And these are by itself tiny mistakes in this game compared to what you're about to see. So what he should do instead is this. I keep saying he, we actually don't know what the gender of G-Funk is. What G-Funk should do instead is this. Because if you play this instead, now you have two things threatening this, so it balances these two out. So then I can't take, right? Because my king is still here. Then he could take, I don't know what order he would take in, right? So I would play some move, take, I take back, take, I take back, take, check. He's won both of these and my pawn. And what have I lost? What have I gained? 2 pawns. It's just like a huge win for him. And I can't move this pawn up when he does that because that's just like sitting there. The square is not guarded. It's not, you don't need to memorize anything or watch videos to see moves like this. So let's keep going. So he takes this and misses the opportunity to really win that pawn. So now it's just an even pawn exchange. And actually the engine's saying that I'm slightly better. Black is slightly better here. Then he moves this, which is a good move. Okay. And then and then I blunder. The first of multiple, I believe. So what was I thinking? Why is this a blunder? It's an obvious blunder because he can just take this. Right? And you even get a single exclamation point. This is the thing. Is like, You do these game recaps and it'll be like, yeah, I made like a what is a single exclamation point? Like almost a brilliant move. It's a great move. It's a really obvious move. Like, is it really that smart? I move my queen and do nothing about the fact that a pawn is threatening my knight. Now, turns out there's not a ton that you can do except use the most basic chess strategy or advice that anyone's ever said, which is checks, captures, threats. I violate that. Even though I'm starting this channel, I violate that. That's the whole point, is that all of us at this level, right? I'm not like a 300 player. Obviously, for anyone else making chess content, I'm a total idiot in chess, but 1,000 rapid, So like, I'm playing and I'm watching. And I'm watching all this chess content and it's fun to listen to and it's way better than like negative social media and it's super healthy and I'm super grateful, for discovering this. But also, I'm just not using checks, captures, threats because in the heat of the moment, you're just, why do you blunder? Is you just have tunnel vision in one area. Look at the whole board and scan checks, captures, threats. Meaning look at the key pieces. You don't have to do every piece. You're not like, oh, this rook, what is it trying to threaten? Like, you know the rook is not in play. You know these pawns are not really doing anything out here with nothing in front of it. Right? But there is a check. Turns out that check, also, if we go back and do this, protects this knight. Versus what I actually did, this blunder just blunders this knight. Because you can just take this. Right? And this is now in play. And obviously I can move this. But you're in this kind of awkward situation where like both queens are sitting in front of their king or whatever. But you just lose a knight. So again, like you watch these opening videos and you play this like perfect opening. And I have the Sicilian and I have the London system. And I have this pawn structure. My pawn structure is slightly better. Black is clearly better here. Also, you could just lose a knight because you're an idiot. Like me. So then why waste time with this? This is the kind of board vision that you should be looking at. Like I'm in a precarious position, but there's an obvious check that can get out of it. Now, at first glance when I saw this in doing the game recap, I thought, well, this is kind of a silly check. Even if I saw it, would I have even done it? Because if I go here, so let's analyze this a little bit further. So this is kind of the second tier. First tier is just don't do stupid things like I just did, right? The second tier is just calculate just a little bit, right? You don't have to be like Hikaru level calculations, just a little bit. So if I move here, I thought, well, that's silly because this pawn could just come up and block. Oh, turns out that's not that smart. Why? Why is this a blunder? This can't take, right? Because it's pinned to the king. The queen's pinning the knight. So why is this a blunder? Oh, look at the board. This is the stuff that changes things in this game. Bishop threatens here. Nothing is pinning the bishop to anything, so I can take, and he can't take back. Oh my goodness, I would have gotten a brilliant. That's my goal. My best goal. My biggest goal is always to get a brilliant. I think I've gotten one in my life. Oh, I would have gotten a brilliant. I actually didn't even know that till this very moment. He can't take back because his rook would just be sitting there hanging. Now I would have captured a rook. I believe all of this is kind of forcing, right? Like there's nothing else he could have done. If I check here, what is he going to do? I guess he could have done this. Oh, but that's a total blunder. Let's see. Duh. Even in doing the recap, I'm not seeing basic stuff. Now this knight is not pinned anymore. So you can't do this. So it actually, this king d1 is best. So instead of doing that, he could have moved this way. Would he have? I don't think a 700 rated player is seeing all this. So the most instinctive thing is the thing that I was looking at, which is if I had moved here, you're just moving that pawn up. Anyone's blocking it. Knight can't take. Knight's pinned. Oh, no one's seeing this bishop. 2 exclamation points. For someone rated this, 2 exclamation points. Oh, music to my ears. So anyway, so that's where we're at. But I didn't do that because I'm not actually looking and paying attention. So here we are at the queen, blundering that whole opportunity. And by the way, blunder doesn't mean I'm blundering a piece here. It just means I blundered the opportunity to actually play good chess. So he takes this great move. Your pawn took the knight that was just sitting there ready for the taking. So I take with the bishop. It says, look, queen should still do this. Yeah, we get it. I didn't see that because I'm an idiot. I decide to long castle because there's a pawn missing from the shorts to the king side. So now I'm like, look, I'm down. What am I down? I'm down 2 points, but essentially I'm down one minor piece. I've captured his bishop, but he's captured 2 of my knights. I mean, yes, I'm a pawn up, but so be it. So I'm like, great. Good job, Davis, you idiot. So actually, I'm trying to practice positive self-talk. So here we are. So, and this is actually interesting. So I long castled. I had thought of this. I had seen this. Oh my goodness. And here we are again, at not just counting basic moves, checks, captures, threats. I thought, I can't take this because his queen would take. His queen can't take. Because my queen is pinning it here. So if I had done this, he can't take this. He could take here, right? He can exchange queens, but then I get this. And I'm actually in a decent spot. I can still castle later. I can bring my rooks in. I mean, I guess he can castle too. But this rook is just kind of trapped. The knight actually could finally come out, but I'm in a decent spot here. And I'm multiple pawns. Like, I have doubled pawns here, but I could then, exchange one pawn here, and then I have a second one to go through. Oof. So, anyway, let's get back to the game. So I castle, he castles. I decide, play this strong, quote-unquote, positional chess. Bring the rooks out. The queen is sitting here. If I move, I have my rook kind of controlling this. But let's get to some of the just... You think this is bad. There's some real bad blunders coming up and missed opportunities. So I open up the opportunity for him to do a queen exchange. He decides not to take it. This wasn't the smartest thing. I saw here... I did see some stuff. I wasn't totally in a horrible state. I saw here that if I could have gotten my bishop somehow over to this diagonal, you can kind of have this queen and rook sitting here, but it was just kind of awkward. I didn't know how to get there, because if I had moved here and here, the knight could always take, and I didn't. I guess that would have been better. I would have undoubled my pawns, but so be it. So I do this, which is an inaccuracy. The engine wants me to move back this way and then keep this threat here. So be it. So let's get to the interesting stuff. He takes with the queen. And now I'm like, okay, positional chess-wise, I feel like I'm in a decent spot with 2 rooks here. The engine thinks that I'm totally in a bad spot. That's fine. He's up 2, right? So he moves here. And then around here is where it starts to occur to me that I might be in one of those puzzle situations where I almost have like a forced checkmate, because this rook is not active because the bishop is in the way. So I'm like, hold up. If I took... So what do I end up doing? I have to move because there was a check. And this kind of threw me off by one move. But I'm thinking, if I took, right, I take, he could take back, and then I can checkmate here. But I realized, and I'd seen, by the time I had made this move, I realized, you know what I should have done? I thought, should I have moved my bishop here first? Because what this forces him to do, he's not going to block with either of these pieces, right? I guess he could have blocked with this bishop, but if he blocks with this bishop, I take, he can't, no. See, this is this counting. Just count. Checks, captures, threats, and on key squares and key moves, just count how many threats do you have on it versus them. And if you have more, you're in good shape. If he moves here, then I have 2. Take versus 1, take. So he can't do this. right? It's kind of a free bishop if he moves here. So he can't, and he's not going to block with either of these two pieces. They're worth more than a bishop. So he has to move here. Then, if I move here, I think he has still ways to block it, but he has to then, like, he could do this, right? Anyway, so where are we? So I don't move that bishop, and I end up, he moves his queen. I have to get out of the way. Then he moves his bishop, and I'm like, damn it. Like, now this rook is here, and there's two rooks. But I still had, again, just count. If you just counted, there were 3 pieces that could do some kind of back rank checkmate, and he has 2. But this bishop actually is in a good spot because it kind of prevents both of these things from happening. But it actually didn't prevent a possible checkmate, which I did not see, right? That's the key here. I did not see it because I just wasn't counting. Like, just count moves, simple calculation. So I take this. He takes this. And then he makes this move. And watch what the engine bar here does. Okay? He's just in total command of this game. Right? We both have a knight and a rook, but he has 2 minor pieces to my 1. Okay? He's in total command of this game. White is what? Plus 4.1. He makes this blunder. Why is this a blunder? I think, what do? I do this missed opportunity. I think, oh God, he's threatening my queen. And I can't take because the bishop is guarding the square. So I think I count enough. Take, he takes back. I would lose a queen, right? I can't take. He's taking a queen. Yeah, but there's checkmate. Game over. It's a great move. Yeah, you're damn right it's a good move. It's a good move I didn't see because there's just basic kinging. So I've been doing some tactical puzzles to help just see this. In this theory I have, is it much of a theory or is it just really obvious that everyone at this beginner level of chess, like the vast majority of people watching this chess content, are obsessed over openings, watching openings, paying attention to openings, when in reality, it's just checks, captures, threats, and basic chess principles. Move to the middle, control the center, watch for checks, captures, threats, and then simple calculations, just how many pieces are threatening. And then this is one step beyond that, I admit. This is seeing a multi-step checkmate, but it's not that complicated. I should have seen it, right? You know that in the back rank checkmates, the moment there's no rooks to stop you and the king is out of the way. So this was actually a great move by me to move this bishop here to get the king out of the way. So I had that intuition. This is the kind of things you see in the puzzles that you do, where you're like, oh, sacrifice the queen, and then there's nothing here to stop. This queen is not in a position to get anywhere near here. And you checkmate. Simple. That's why I moved this stuff over here, Davish. That's why you moved it over here. But then you didn't do it. Okay? So what happened? So I moved my queen out of the way, and then let's finish the game. He does what I think is a pretty good move. He's threatening both my bishop and queen here. The bishop is not protected by anything else, which is another actually key principle. Checks, captures, threats, and then try to keep your pieces in places where they're protected by something else, aka not hanging. If you just do, my theory is if I just do that, simple, almost kind of boring chess, it will become unboring when you start winning games. Because if you do that, I think up until about the 1500 level, let's see how high I can get. Up until the 1500 level, the opponent's going to make just terrible blunders that if you're just paying attention to where the threats are, checks, captures, threats, you will see them and you will have fun. Okay? So I don't do that. This bishop has been sitting here this whole time. So I think, well, I can't I have to move my queen, but I need to put it in a place where the bishop is still there. Apparently the engine thinks that this is a good move, but if I had moved here, it would have been even better. Yeah, I guess he's saying just exchange. Because you're going to exchange here anyways. I'm thinking if he takes this, I take the knight. Actually, and I prefer bishops over knights because of their long rangeness. If I just moved here, then if he takes this, I can just go all the way up and take his bishop. And then again, hopefully I start to see this checkmate stuff. Oh god, that would be another great thing. If I had moved here, he takes, I take, and then what's he going to do? I guess he could move here. Yeah. Then what can he do? Let's see. Yeah, I don't know, but we need to finish this game. This video is getting long enough. So I move here. He moves his queen here, which is fine. At first I think, oh, there was the blunder I was looking for. But actually that square is guarded by the knight. But it's still not following this principle. He has a free pawn that he just doesn't take. Right? The engine's like, why would you move here when you could take this pawn? So he's offering this queen exchange. I'm thinking, again, basic principle. I'm down a piece, so I'm not exchanging anything. So I move up here thinking, okay, I can still guard this bishop. The engine says this is a mistake. Actually, the bishop should have moved up here, but I don't want to trade queens. And he clearly does. And then that's when he just makes his fatal blunder. And that's the end of the game. He just, like, you're waiting here. I mean, look at this. Look at the bar move. He's plus 9.56. He's plus 9.56. Right? He has me in this precarious position. He also is threatening back rank checkmate of some kind at some point, because I haven't even had time yet to move a pawn and create an escape route for my king. I'm aware of this, by the way. At least that much I was aware of, despite all my missed opportunities in this game. So he's in a great position. He's not taking a free pawn, and then he's just looking. I don't know what he's trying to do. He's like trying to threaten this rook, I guess. But like, you could have threatened the rook by, oh, I guess I'm now here, so now he can't take this. But he's trying to threaten the rook. I guess he's trying to probably move the knight, take this, and then he has a queen and a rook. He's probably trying to back rank checkmate. Okay, yeah, if he moves the knight, the queen can come here, sacrifice, my rook takes, his rook takes, checkmate. Or I guess the queen comes down, takes my queen, checkmate. But this is the kind of stuff, if you just wait and you play good, quote-unquote, positional chess, move pieces to squares that you are defending. So try to not, unless you absolutely have a good tactic or a free piece to capture, try not to move squares to undefended places, because you're bound to make dumb mistakes at this beginner level. Right? No, he just doesn't look. It's just a threatened, it's just, this is like level 1 blunder. It's not level 2 blunder like I did all the way back here, which is not really a blunder as much as a miss, right? It's not level 2 where it's like, why would you move there when you had check and you could have captured the queen and all? This is like level 1, you're just moving your queen to a square that is guarded, and then you get the single exclamation point. Great move, capturing a queen that was left hanging. What do they call this? Botez gambit. No gambit, he then resigns. So this is the lesson. And I violated it a bunch of times. I'm going to continue to record videos. If you want to follow this channel, this is going to be for folks at this anywhere under 1,000, but definitely anywhere under like 1,200, I think, maybe, but definitely under 1,000. If you're looking to improve, if you're an amateur, there's a ton of really smart people that are way, way better at chess, obviously, than me, because I'm just an amateur. But if you're saying, I want to complement that content with someone who is trying to improve and showing game after game, I will just continue to show where my stats are and whether this is actually manifesting itself. And we showed a Blitz game, but in Rapid, can I actually move up? Rapid that I have barely played because I get so scared. And I'll talk about my emotions too. I don't play Rapid because I know that that's my highest rating and I'm so scared to lose it, right? Especially after I crossed 1,000. But on Blitz, I'll see this philosophy of this strategy of forget all of this memorizing openings and this fancy stuff. Just look at the board and don't miss simple things. Checks, captures, threats. That's it. I said that's it, and there were multiple other things, right? Like basic chess principles. Control the center, look at checks, captures, and threats. When there's a key position where there's multiple people threatening square, they say calculation in chess, just count how many things are threatening. If you have more than them, you're in good shape. If not, don't be dumb and move something in there. Okay? And just wait to see when the opponent makes like colossal errors, blunders that you can capture. And my hypothesis is that I can move both of these, Blitz and Rapid, into the 1,000 plus. Rapid, I'm already at 1,000 plus, meaning I want to try to get this honestly to 1,500. See if I can get as high as 1,500. I also play some daily games, but they're just so slow because they're daily. But I do this just because I have a job, and rapid games, it just takes a long time. So